What's up? We're back.
What's up, man? It's Vaughn. We back again, man.
It's your boy Contavious. White chocolate Contavious. No, I'm just kidding. I'm one syllable. Nice and easy to remember.
Right. We just got a couple topics today. You know,
We did an intro video last time. That was all fun and games. It's time to get serious, though. What are we going to be talking about today? Today's topic is homeschooling, something near and dear to my heart. For all of you who don't know, I was homeschooled up till 10th grade. Went from there, took 35 credit hours at a community college in Omaha. Went from there to UNL, where I am currently. So, I'm a little familiar with the subject. But one of the main reasons we're talking about it, man, is our sponsor today, Polar Seltzer. Today's flavor is ginger lime mule, my personal favorite. And of course, I have to drink it throughout this episode. That sound.
Alright, bro.
Bro, that sound. I'm sorry, I had to pause.
We got kids watching, bro. You can't be getting freaky with the can of.
Sorry. It's good. It's good stuff. So one of the reasons why we're talking about this is because the popularity of homeschooling is increasing pretty drastically.
And why do you think that is?
Let's talk about that, Javon.
Right.
First of all, let's prove it to you that this is happening.
Right.
Let's show a few statistics here. According to uopeople.edu, University of the People, about 3.1 million students homeschooled in the United States from 21 to 22 during the school year. And this represents about 6% of school-age children. This increased from 2.5 million in 2019, which is roughly a 0.6 million difference.
Right.
It's increasing in popularity. So let's talk. Let's talk about a few of the benefits here.
Right.
Discipline issues in the classroom are avoided.
Most definitely.
I had a position with AmeriCorps for a full service term. And so I kind of got an inside look at places that I really had never been before. Elementary schools and middle schools. It's kind of crazy to say that I haven't really been in one of those. A lot of you guys can say otherwise. I can't. So I kind of got to experience that. And, this topic of discipline issues in the classroom, that was prevalent, for sure.
Right.
And to be honest, there's only so much that the teachers can do. There's only so much that the hall monitors can do. Because ultimately the family unit is the most fundamental unit of humanity. And if that's messed up, it's a domino effect.
Correct. No, I actually agree.
Yeah.
I actually agree here. I think it's a lot different of having a teacher versus a parent, right? A teacher cannot really discipline you. They can't put their hands on you. But a parent, on the other hand, go upside your head. Especially, like, I can speak from experience. My dad is like 6'7", 6'8", like 350. So you definitely don't. I was on my best behavior. Definitely didn't want to get no type of hit, spanking, none of that. So I think if I had to give a say-so on why I think this is prevalent now, I think it has something to do with that. Most definitely. Or mama, when mama come down on you for not cleaning your room, for not doing these things. The teacher go baby you, but mama, she gonna dang near put her foot, in your behind if you mess up or do wrong. So I definitely agree.
That's something I learned. He said it when he first opened up on this response, and teachers are legally, if I remember correctly, they are not allowed to. Physical contact is a big no-no. So they're left with commands, and
right.
that can only take you so far.
Correct.
So yeah, discipline issues in the classroom, kind of avoided. Just more free time, more time for extracurricular activities.
Mm-hmm.
Which aids in concentration.
So how long was your school day? Since you
it was weird. It was definitely weird. It was.
Let's compare.
It would start maybe. We'd get up, we'd eat breakfast and whatever. We'd pretty much start, kind of right away. Sometimes we brought breakfast down to the basement. The basement was kind of our, our classroom. Kind of sucked because there were no windows in the basement, and that kind of. For all you guys out there, just try to find a well-lit place, please. For all you homeschoolers out there, the daylight makes a big difference. But regardless, my mom did what, the best she knew how, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, there are little things that I would critique, but overall, I'd say my experience is pretty positive. But yeah, in terms of start time, it'd probably be around like 8 a.m. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy.
Okay.
End time was kind of variable, to be honest, just depending on the amount of homework. And the curriculum that my mom used, there was a lot of extra stuff that didn't really need to be there. And she learned pretty quickly that was the case, and planned accordingly. A lot of things I skipped. For example, there was a penmanship class. I could already write pretty well. I didn't really need it, so mom was like, all right, toss it out the window. So yeah, there were different things that, the curriculum was kind of used as a template, but it was not the end-all be-all.
Right.
And so there are different things that my mom would add, subtract. Eventually it got to the point to where I was independent, and so I'd kind of do things on my own, get the quizzes done, tests done, whatever. Quizzes and tests, I mean, they were pretty much open book. See, there's school and then there's standardized testing. We'll talk about standardized testing maybe in another video, because that's a topic in and of itself. I have a lot of comments about that, negative comments. But yeah, no, end times would be variable. Usually be about, I'd say probably 4:30, 5 p.m. Sometimes they would last a little longer than I think what regular high school or middle schoolers, because I lived in a cul-de-sac, and my neighbors, they all went to public school, and usually I found myself getting done a little bit later, just because of the sheer amount of homework that I had to kind of like sift through.
Right.
So I'd say generally it was probably a later time than a lot of other public schoolers. It was kind of frustrating. I remember just as a kid, just sprinting out of my garage door, opening the garage door, sprinting out, and all of my neighbors' garage doors would start closing because they'd already been outside and played around, and that was one of the most disappointing things as a kid, just, getting out there and realizing it was too late. And, yeah.
Right. I think
generally later, I think, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I happened to go the traditional school route. I went to private school, started elementary school, but then I went to private middle school, private high school. I mean, honestly, I can't compare myself to you necessarily, but private school, there's a lot less kids. So it almost...
Class size?
Yeah.
Smaller?
Yeah. So it almost felt like you would stay with the same 16 all 4 years.
That's pretty dope.
So I went to...
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, so I went to Jesuit Middle School, and fourth grade, I had 16 classmates, and all of us would go to from fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and we all graduated with each other. So I guess I can kind of say I've been in the middle where it's not necessarily homeschooled or anything like that, but the teachers can actually focus on us as kids, and the teachers know us, and we're with them every day, you know. So it's not necessarily like the big public middle schools where it's just kids on kids on kids. It's like you kind of get that one-on-one time with the teacher.
Yeah.
So I kind of would say that I kind of had a little bit of in between.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting. Just because I've always wondered how that worked, and obviously every school's different. But
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, most definitely.
Other benefits: good use of time. You can move along a little faster on subjects that are easier than having to wait on other kids. Same thing, vice versa. You can focus a little heavier on a subject that's more difficult. So for me, math was a trip. Math is a trip currently. Screw math. But
not me. That's my favorite subject.
Not my forte. Not my forte. I actually had to take a special education class on math, and it was in Iowa. So we'd wake up early in the morning. I think we went like three times a week, if I remember correctly. I don't remember how many times it was. It wasn't every day, but definitely kind of frustrating, and did it help? I don't think it made that much of a dent in progress. I think it's just something that it really is, I think, the way it's taught, because I've noticed, like, for example, me working a construction job for a full summer, I noticed that type of math was a little easier to understand because I can use these. And something about me is I'm a kinesthetic learner, meaning I have to use these to learn. I can't just use this, or this. So I have to use literally all senses, which allows me to instruct people in things way better because I have a holistic approach on it. But it also makes learning in a standardized system, which is what we're in right now, extremely difficult. Hence my distaste for school, the way it's set up. Hence my distaste for standardized testing. Hence, I digress.
Right.
Let's look at here. Stronger family bonds, definitely. Absolutely 100% agree. I heard one person's perspective on, this benefit of homeschooling versus public schooling. When you send your kid off to public school, they're there from 8 a.m. to, I'm trying to think when most of my friends would get out. I think it was probably, when did you get out?
I got out at 4:30.
4:30?
Yeah.
That seems to be about right. Because
I think a lot of public schools got out around 3:15, but in my middle
3:30.
Yeah, at my middle school we had a mandatory study hall after every day.
Yeah, so that's
you had
10,
to go
11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So that's like 7, 8 hours. So 8 hours, right, per day.
Right.
8 times 7, 56. That's 56 hours a week. Or no, because you don't have Sunday, Saturday. So 40, right?
Right.
So 40 hours a week. That's a work week.
Really is.
You're sending your kid to a work week at school.
Hey.
And what are they teaching them nowadays?
Nothing. How to be a worker.
Yeah.
Not how to build your own or credit or how to know what to do with your money.
They are teaching you to respond to a bell.
Right.
The bell goes off. Okay, now we're going to this. It doesn't matter if you still had it. No, the bell's gone off. You are going to the next. Yeah. I digress again because there are so many topics that we could branch out from this. We'll stick to just talking about the benefits, but.
And man, do y'all research on Rockefeller?
And
why he wanted the school system. Like, did you hear what he said? Like, when he didn't want a nation of thinkers, he wanted to create a nation of workers.
I haven't done too much research on Rockefeller.
Me. I haven't either, but I
knew he was an oil tycoon, whatever.
Tycoon,
yeah. Yeah, tycoon. A philanthropist later on in life. Kind of a conflicting character from what I've heard. But, I didn't know that about his viewpoints on the school system. That is interesting.
Right.
So yeah, strongly family bonds. I can definitely tell. Just I'm starting to recall, my observations. I'm a very observative person, and just observing my friends in the cul-de-sac even that I was in. Just the different times I'd hear, ex-friend's dad just ripping on his son, like, and it's just like over something stupid, I mean, I remember there were two houses, one on each side. We were kind of in the middle, and I just remember going over to my friend's house and about, getting ready to knock on the door to ask if he can come out and play and hang out and whatever, and I just hear these screams, and I'm just like, what side of the bed did you wake on, bro? Like, it's just, I could tell there was, and I thought my relationship with my dad early on was a little estranged, just because I wanted to do my own thing.
Right.
And he wouldn't let that happen because he understood I had to respect authority.
Right.
And I had to learn that from a very young age. And I thought my relationship was estranged. But then I go out to my friends, and they're just trying to tell their parents what to do and thinking that, nah. I'm just like, y'all are getting away with that. That's crazy, because that's not happening in our household.
Yeah.
The spoon is for you if you think like that. Or the belt.
What you know about that belt?
So my parents did use spanking as discipline. It's kind of a side tangent, but we'll talk about it for a little bit. It's funny. But they'd have basically a container, or it was like a tote, and there was a collection of spatulas, belts, and you were lucky if you didn't get you were lucky if you didn't get the belt, bro. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, man. I think long term, I think it definitely did strengthen the family bond between me and my parents, especially just thinking about, in hindsight, the relationship that I saw my other peers who went to public school going to. That's what I would definitely say.
Right. Now, going back to that belt, man, I remember my dad, one time he told me to go outside and pick a branch off the tree. And I went outside and tried to pick the smallest one. And then he went outside and picked the biggest one. And boy, that was a memorable whooping, man. See, I think them are the things you never forget.
Yeah.
Those whoopings when, you try to run and they just, it's just nothing, man. Me personally, for my kids, I don't think that's the correct way to go about it. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. Just because it's like, I think it's more a sense of like, I don't know if it's necessarily like correction or like, am I not doing this because I know I might get, or am I not doing this because it's wrong? And I think my parents started to change their approach as I got older. Like, for instance, my parents allowed me to make my own choices, and if I did something wrong, or I would have to pay the consequence, right? Not necessarily from them, but whatever came with it. So if I didn't take care of myself, okay, this is what's gonna come with it,
Yeah.
So I like that philosophy better, especially if I have a daughter. I can't really see myself spanking my daughter, or at least not feeling bad, like when she cried or something like that.
Yeah, that was kind of a tangent. We'll probably talk about that later on in a different podcast. But yeah, definitely stronger family bonds. I can personally attest to that. Did you ever feel like you were estranged from your dad or mom?
Yeah.
Just because that's a lot of separation from him. I don't know.
I feel like, you would go to school from the time you wake up, so you wouldn't have time to eat. I wouldn't have time to eat at home, my family. Breakfast at least, right? You would eat lunch at school also. So the only meal your parents would really have to prepare for you is dinner, right? So it's like, okay, dinner is the traditional time that family comes together, but as far as spending time with as far as spending time with my family, how would you be able to do that when you go to school from 8 to 4:30? And then you get the homework workload, and then not only that, but as when we were younger, or at least I had a bedtime of like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
My mom made me, I had to be asleep by 9 o'clock. not on the dot, you know. So just imagine that you come home 4:30. That's when you get out of school. You're not gonna get home till at least 5. Then 5 you're doing homework. So it's like
your butt.
You don't have that much time to actually get to know your parents. You just know they're your parents, you know. So that's why I think if hopefully God puts me in a position to be able to homeschool my children, because not only I think it's more so of like showing them that guiding them versus allowing a stranger to guide them and put all this propaganda into their mind that will serve them no purpose. But you know, because I don't want to get too deep in this, but basically we've been programmed to do things a certain way, and it's not necessarily for our good. You know, it's to add to this society and stay into this box, you know. And I would want to give my kids the opportunity to branch out and look at these different options versus just being stuck in this box.
Yeah, you're gonna hear the word unorthodox a lot in this podcast, because a lot of the way we think, the way we are programmed is it's not mainstream for sure. Talked about a few benefits. I'll say this. I'll just kind of go off of what I've been kind of thinking about, but as far as benefits, then we'll go into cons. The creativity is significantly higher. It's unbelievable. Going back to kind of that AmeriCorps experience, I also had the opportunity to work at the YMCA here in Lincoln, and one of the things I was able to do was instruct this homeschool group through basically PE classes. It wasn't anything crazy, but even just in that experience alone, there was a marginal difference in the public school kids, in their creativity, in their ability to focus, in their ability to be disciplined, in their ability to be independent thinkers. I mean, when I got to like the AmeriCorps sessions, so they're basically like hour-long PE sessions, I would have to like just hold these kids' hands throughout the entire thing and struggle to, you know, and just like constantly bring their focus back into what we're trying to do. I didn't have to do a thing for the homeschool group. I literally could have sat there and watched them do their own. I didn't have to do a thing. Now I did, but
right. No,
they were so independently. It blew my mind, because I did a full year for AmeriCorps, and then going from that to it was night and day. It really was. And yeah, man, it's just and especially because it had been a long time since I'd been interacting with homeschoolers. It just kind of like, yeah, that was, it was definitely interesting to see that contrast.
Right.
But yeah, creativity, independence, being able to see things from different angles instead of just one angle. Those are some things that I noticed as differences.
Right.
But there are cons, just like there are cons to everything. What are some cons here? Cost. So, Abeka Academy, which is the curriculum that my mom used for me, they are a Christian-based organization based in Pensacola, Florida. Definitely very expensive. There really wasn't any way around it. My mom was willing to give me and my dad as well. They're willing to give me as good of an education as I could get. I thank the Lord for that every day. And so, but not everyone can afford that. So yeah, cost is definitely a factor. Adapting your child to a new reality. Especially the transfer situation is especially difficult. Like if you know, I had a few friends who kind of bounced around from public school for the first couple of years of their life. They then went to homeschooling, and then eventually they landed in private schooling. Just kind of that process, I definitely think it did a number on them. So definitely starting them in the homeschooling process versus like taking them out of the public schooling into homeschooling. I think that's definitely a huge challenge.
Right.
Because now they've made all these friends and now they can't see them anymore, and
right.
It's just they kind of lose that social connection. which we are going to talk about. That's another big thing that parents look at is the social connection or lack thereof. Definitely a more ideal situation though if you can start them early in one thing and not hop around to different things. Here it is, the next topic: no social interaction. No social interaction. This is during study time, recess, whatever. What I think the ideal situation is if you have a community of individuals who come together and kind of have a homeschool group.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we had at our church for a time. Definitely helped a lot. Something too, I'll just kind of tangent a little bit. My parents were always trying to get us to, I don't want to say grow up early because that kind of sounds forced, but I always felt like I was more disciplined or independent. I felt older than my age.
Right.
A lot of the time. So, and it's weird. It's not really weird to say this anymore, but at the time, it kind of felt more comfortable to talk to adults than it did my peers.
Yeah.
Because it's like the adults I can learn from, the older people I can learn from, and I can actually gain something from. But when I talk to my peers, it's just about stupid stuff that didn't like.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of a tangent there, but you know, my parents were always trying to get me to think and be discerning, and that ties into social interaction. Just how do you speak? How do you conduct yourself? Right? Choice of words. Just treating that with respect and not just saying the first thing that comes to your head. Knee-jerk reaction is one phrase that people use for that, but yeah, no, if you are a parent and you don't have a community like that around you, it's especially like if you're in a rural area and you know your farm's X amount of miles from the nearest town, or maybe you don't have many neighbors, maybe you have like that one neighbor who you rarely hang out with, and it takes forever to get anywhere. I can definitely see that as a potential issue. So yeah, I mean, that's something to consider, is that community. Have a community of some kind to interact with.
Right.
Parental burnout. This is something that I saw with a few of my friends. Those same friends that I was saying started public school, then they went to homeschool, then they went to private school eventually. The reason they were hopping around so much was that they were, their parents were, their goal was to kind of keep them on the homeschooling track, but because of the burnout and the stress and the lack of just knowledge I don't really know what the factors were, but I definitely know burnout was one factor. That was one of the factors that moved them from homeschooling back into private schooling. So just kind of witnessing that, I can definitely see the issue with that, the demand on it. Obviously, we talked earlier about cost, much more expensive. That's also something that's weighing on the parents.
Right.
So definitely another factor to consider.
Right.
So we talked about benefits, talked about cons. There's others we could get to, but we'll keep it reasonable for this time period for the podcast. But one more thing, should we talk about the facility later then?
Yeah. Most definitely. Just a little, I have a brief little message. In a way, I kind of feel like I was I feel like I got a little dabble of homeschool. Like, for instance, so like I said earlier, math is my favorite subject. Like, you could give me a multiplication problem, it might take me like 4-5 seconds to get it, So, but I have to credit it to my dad though. Like, I remember he would like sit me at home when I would be in elementary, Hillside Elementary, and just give me these little sheets, and I have to fill them out every day. I do it, fill it out. So then eventually when I got to middle school, I was in like 6th grade taking 8th grade math, right? We had like a little thing where you would literally go in the 8th graders classroom and you would sit in their class and take their math class. When I got to high school, I was in advanced math. So I kind of feel like on top of the schooling I had, my parents kind of seen that it wasn't enough. So they gave me little like supplemental things that would propel me forward. And I mean, look where it got me. So yeah, so I think I kind of had like a little sense of homeschooling in there when they could, because obviously they had to work and things like that. But I mean, even a game of life that especially my father gives to me, like, man, it's crazy, man. Like, so and this is another reason why fathers are important, and that's a hint for a later episode. But yeah, man, I feel like I had a little touch of the homeschool field, if I really,
Yeah, no, that's something I actually, we can talk about that. There's so many supplemental things you can do. One thing that I would do, I guess, yeah, we could talk about like hypotheticals. So let's say I have a kid and I'm homeschooling him. What would I do? What would I change from what I was brought up with? I would definitely consider using a curriculum as a kind of a template, especially because you have to consider how you're going to take transcripts from your homeschooling and transfer them to college. I wish college was homeschooled. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah. That'd be different. I mean, we might gotta start that. Imagine.
Yeah.
Start an online college, but it's homeschool style.
That would be cool. And there already are, online college courses that you can get, and it's kind of similar. But
do you get like a certificate of completion for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know, Alabama has a pretty popular one. It's all online for a couple different types of courses.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, what would I definitely would have a template. Would skip any unnecessary things, focus more on difficult subjects.
Right.
I would get them active, man. Like I would want to live. See, there's other factors you have to consider, like where are you going to live? I would live in an area that's kind of somehow connected with nature. I've entertained the idea of kind of building an obstacle course in the backyard or something for my kids, and just giving them different opportunities to explore and explore nature. Like, we have so many controlled environments, and we kind of deviate. Like for example, you go from public school, which is a controlled environment, then you go to the gym for your sport, which is also a controlled environment, so like a basketball court or something. That's cool, and that gets them active for sure. But we're taking these kids, and this is something that I was talking to the coaches at Kratos with, where I've been shadowing these past couple months. These kids aren't getting outside anymore. They're not. One of my friends, I won't name names, but plays video games pretty much all day. It gets no sunlight exposure. I mean, it's everywhere you turn. These kids, we were talking, and I was shadowing these kids, this group of kids that they were coaching, and they were struggling just to skip, not just skip. Like one of the coaches asked them, like, do you know how to skip? And they're like, no. I'm like, you ever played hopscotch? Like, you ever got a piece of chalk? And no, they hadn't. Like these kids haven't done these basic things that we all took for granted. And it's just like, yeah, I want to make sure that my kids are exposed to those things and are able to explore, are able to build the movement bank, as it were.
Right.
And when I say movement bank, being able to skip, run, just being able to understand their bodies and explore different movement patterns, right?
No, I most definitely agree.
Yeah.
I remember being outside and playing or rolling around, kickball, maybe just going outside throwing rocks, bro. But now
it could be it could be something simple as that.
These kids got TikTok.
Yeah, man.
Bro, my little cousin, bro. Every little kid got a cell phone. That's another topic. That is another
we
topic.
We could do a whole podcast.
That is another topic, man. Cell phones, man. Even at the age that we're at now, cell phones have replaced going out. Like, you gotta think about it. DoorDash, you don't even have to go anywhere to get food. Just like, it's conditioning us to stay still, right? Like, you can have groceries delivered to your front door. You can have everything right here, right now, instead of actually getting up and going to get it. Like, back then, they used to hunt the animals. Now we don't even hunt the animals. Now it went from hunting animals to going to the store to getting it delivered.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
Like, you just open your fridge and they gotta shoot and they just drop every grocery, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we gotta definitely restore that, man. I mean, even think about it, man. Like, man, nature is so beautiful, bro. And I think we don't even get time to necessarily explore, or we don't even know what we're looking at. We take it for granted to just walk past like a tree that has history to it.
Yeah.
You don't know how long that tree is standing,
it's just like,
bro.
Just thinking about the simple things, man. Like, there's so much to learn about nature. Like, you could teach a whole science lesson to your kid just on counting the rings on a tree, on the different phases of the moon,
right?
Of the different types of birds in the trees,
right?
Their characteristics. Birds of prey versus like vultures, for example, that scavenge. They're scavengers, right? Just, you could teach biology to your kids through that. Like, that's something that I considered. And, you know, I said that I would, you know, kind of have a template to go off of, but I'm curious to actually do research on ways of actually being able to kind of cheat the system, I guess. Because, again, the only reason I would use a traditional, you know, homeschooling curriculum is because of the transcripts. That's literally it. If I could do it my way, I wouldn't even do that. I'd bring my kids to work with me. If I could. You can't do that for every job, I understand. But, like, if I could, I'd bring my kids to work. Like, I'd give them, like, little tasks to do. I'd give them, like, chores to do. And the other thing I'll say is, you doing that for your kid, like giving them responsibilities, that's huge. That's huge for them. It may not seem like it, it's huge. When you let your kid do stuff,
they feel important.
They feel, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They kind of get juiced, you know what I mean? And just, they feel included. They feel like they're not just a kid, and they're able to grow up a little bit. And you know, you don't want, obviously there's a fine line, you know, you want your kid to be a kid, but the side note, give your kid responsibilities and chores to do, right? It's huge.
Right.
But yeah, man, if I could have it my way, I would just take them out in nature and, you know, teach them about things that I just talked about. And if I wanted to teach them math, I would, I don't know, do construction projects with them or something, or like buy them like those kits that you see at Walmart. You know, those little kits that they can play around with, learn about electricity and stuff. Like I do stuff like that. You know, I would take them hiking. I would take them on bike rides. I would take them hunting, fishing, right? Just things that I wasn't able to do as much as a kid.
Right. It's our nature to do these things.
It's just
like
we're not doing anything crazy. We're just bringing people back to
where we were.
Yeah, and there's some things that society has improved on that I appreciate, but there's also some things that just we're taking away from the natural a little too much.
Right.
So yeah, that those are things that I would do with my kid, and I can guarantee you, like, it just sounds terrible when you really think about it like that. Like, I'm gonna send my kid to 40 hours of sitting in a room, all day.
Let's talk about the problems, because as humans we're not supposed to be sitting.
And the other thing, bro, is the PE. I think that's another thing that we were talking about. The Kratos coaches, these LPS kids, they do PE like twice a week.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, and sitting in and of itself is not bad, but sitting for a long period of time like that, it's no wonder these kids have ADHD, and now you're just making it worse. And now these
maybe even hip problems.
Don't even Don't get us started,
like
man.
Myself, man.
Don't get me started, bro. Like that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah. But back to what I was saying. I'm gonna send my kid. This sounds terrible. I'm gonna send my kid to 40 hours a week of sitting, versus taking him on adventures that will last a lifetime.
Right. We only here for a certain, like, man.
Imagine if you're a kid, you're 12 years old, and you're looking around at your peers. You were homeschooled and you were raised the way we've been talking about. And then you look at your peers, and you're just talking about, things that you've done in the past, and, the types of things that you did as a kid. Or let's fast forward a little bit. Let's say you're 18, right? You both are 18. And you're talking about your past, and you're like, yeah, I remember I got my first buck when I was 12, and you're like, huh? And they're talking about how you climbed this Mount Rainier in Washington or something, you know what I mean? And you planted the flag. You're showing them pictures of it, and you're a 12-year-old kid, and just like, I was in school that day, just
learning nothing, a whole bunch.
Yeah, man,
nothing.
Just imagine how much. That just sounds so terrible when you think about it. It's just like, how could you?
Yeah, most definitely.
It feels like you're doing a disservice. But yeah, man, that's benefits, cons. That's kind of our experience.
Right.
A little bit different.
Like I said, if y'all have noticed, the beautiful thing about us is we give both sides to the spectrum on each topic. I swear it's almost so we both went different routes, and the routes that we both went were unique. So the input we're able to give, it gets all in between,
mm-hmm.
And that's the goal with this podcast, is to see it from different point of views, whether it's race, whether it's height, all different kind of things, man. But we went a little long today. You guys got a treat, man. So we need y'all to like, comment, subscribe, share it to your grandma.
What topic should we do next? Put it in the comments section.
Put in the comments, man. Share this with the squirrel down the street, man.
All right, man. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
It's been nice. It's Vaughn.
Your boy Contavious.
Yeah,
it's just Ken. But
yeah, man. All right.
We'll see y'all.